Good morning, how are you all doing? Day 2 and we're already in lockdown here in the UK. As of 8:30 p.m. last night, we were put on lockdown. It's not an enforced lockdown, there's no curfews here yet as there are in other places around the world. We are expected to act responsibly and only travel to work if it's essential, otherwise stay at home. Other rules that we've been told are we can go out to exercise once a day and we should try and limit shopping for food to once a week or use online deliveries where possible, but they're getting hammered at the moment. So we all need to be responsible here in the UK at the moment. That may lead you to the question of why am I here in the cave? Because I don't live in the cave. Well, I can travel here in complete isolation. So I step out of my front door, I get into my car, which is on the driveway. I park right outside the door, walk in, and I'm here in the cave. So I don't have to come into contact with anyone. The only thing I come into contact with is the door handle, which I've been spraying down with IPA multiple times a day. So I think I'm being responsible in doing that, but I am prepared to be in a situation where I can't actually come here. So I've loaded the car up with kit. And if it comes to that, if I can't travel here, then you'll carry on getting these kind of vlogs, but I won't be able to solder. I won't be able to repair things. I'm not going to take the entire cave home. So we'll just have to deal with it one day at a time, but I'll carry on chatting to you regardless. So what are we going to do today? First of all, thank you, by the way, for your comments. It's interesting to read what you're all up to. Some good, strong biscuit suggestions. I think shortbread was a strong one. And Craig opened up the age-old debate of, is a Jaffa cake a cake or a biscuit? Discuss. I'm on the fence. I was actually asked that question once in an interview, and the answer I gave was that it's a cake because it says cake on the box. I was a young, naive man. My opinion may have changed. Right, what are we going to do today? I think we're going to have some fun. We all need to have some fun in isolation. It's not all doom and gloom. So today I welcome you to the inaugural Isolation Olympics. Let's see what events we can come up with. See if we can do this first time. I've completely missed the table. There it is. Well, that was a waste of duct tape. Get in. Yes. Well, there you go. Oh, shit. Well, there you go. Isolation doesn't have to be boring. The floppy disk drive challenge was a challenge too far, I think. But let me know if you have any suggestions for isolation retro Olympics, and I'll give them a try. Let me know your high score. See if I can beat it. There's a really good discussion point that came up on Patreon when I mentioned that I'd be doing these videos. It came from Irata, I-R-A-T-A. Sorry if I'm saying that wrong. And they say, what do you think we're looking for in our retro obsession? Are we looking for simpler times when things were less overwhelming, or trying to stay young by clinging to things from our past? And Tony Sander gives an immediate and very honest answer by saying, in my case, straightforward midlife crisis. And I'm sure that's the case for plenty of us. There is an element of the whole midlife crisis. I mean, there are so many angles that you can come at this from, and I want to hear your thoughts in the comments. Personally, I got into what I would call the retro thing through emulation way back in the 90s when MAME first started to become a thing, the MAME emulator. I remember giving a presentation at college or university where we could choose any subject we wanted, because it wasn't about the subject, it was about our ability to communicate. And I just chose the MAME emulator and gave a talk on MAME and what it was and what this new thing was. And while I was doing this, MAME was emulating video games that were still in the arcades, because I went to college at a seaside town, and in the UK, traditionally seaside towns had rows and rows of arcade games, and they still had games like Mr. Do and all of the Neo Geo games. What else? Point Blank I used to go and play a lot. But those earlier games were starting to be emulated by MAME, and not just emulated, but completely playable. So it was a weird time. It was retro, but it wasn't, because it was still, I still went out on my lunch break and played these games. So, but the fascination for me was to see machines almost being naughty, machines doing things that they weren't designed to do, emulating and mimicking other machines. That always fascinated me. But I'm not going to deny, as I've got older, in tougher times, I've always looked back to those old machines, to retro, to what I do now, as a form of comfort. It is like a big warm comfort blanket that you put around yourself, because you're not just sitting at, let's say, an Amstrad CPC 464 and going, oh yeah, I remember this game. You're saying, I remember the desk this was at, I remember my bedroom this was in, I remember the memories that surrounded that time, the people I was with. And invariably you were younger, as Arata says, times were simpler, you were worried about far fewer things. So it's kind of natural that you look to comfort, look for comfort in those kinds of things. So a bit of everything, and if you want to call that a midlife crisis, then go ahead and call that a midlife crisis. But I'd be interested to hear your thoughts. Why do you do it? Particularly if you're younger. I really like seeing younger people collecting for retro machines, because obviously there's a complete disconnect. They have no connection whatsoever with these old machines. They don't have those old memories. So why are they doing it? Is it just because there are good games? Is it because they're sick of 40 gigabyte downloads when they want to sit and play on their Xbox? I don't know. Love to hear your thoughts. So that's a really good discussion point for today. Far more in depth than what is your favourite biscuit. That was our discussion point yesterday. So let me know your thoughts. Why are you into retro? Do you have any Olympic events for me to try? And I will be happy to try them tomorrow. As always, be safe, look after each other, take care everyone, and chat tomorrow. Bye-bye.